Well, Sergio, welcome. Welcome to my Uber. Where are we going, man?
We're going to take a ride from the past to the future.
From the past to the future. Okay, now you've got me really intrigued. Tell me where we're going. This is good.
Yeah, we're going to go to a little bit of what I'm trying to do on this planet currently, but then I'm also thinking about the future of what I'm trying to do on this planet currently, but then I'm also thinking about the future of what the future is going to look like with all this autonomy going on, and with AI, and how it's going to affect my kid's life, because I'm set for life. I'm not worried that much about it. But yeah, many things. I have a lot of things in my head, but that's what I'd like to go.
Oh my gosh, the past. I think I met you like 2 years ago.
You
Like
probably did.
virtually. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. And I've always thought of you, no offense to Harry or Chris or any of the other Torsten or any of the other creators that are in our space or guys that owns channels, but I've always thought of you as like the Godfather. Is that the past?
Yeah, that's the, well, the past is definitely has some of that, because my personality is such that I'm an East Coaster like you, right? Originally from New York and stuck in the West Coast now, but but I don't have time for BS, Levi. I call it the way I see it, and then some people like it, some people get offended by it, some people don't like it, but I still have the New York mindset. Let's roll, let's do something about it, as opposed to cry about it. And but it has served me well in life in certain aspects, because I don't do too much time wasting. I'll just move on. And just like New Yorkers, street attitude, man. We don't have time for BS. Let's just move on. Let's just do the right thing, or try to do the right thing anyway.
Are New Yorkers? Are you New Yorkers different than Los Angeles? How do you call it?
Oh,
Angelinos?
yeah, something like that. Are New Yorkers different than Angelinos? Oh my God, yes. In Los Angeles, we do a lot of time wasting on emotional garbage. we, 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 we just kind of go, oh, I'll tell you this funny story. Is like, I met my wife in New York, by the way. She
All
was
right.
visiting. She was visiting New York, and we met, and we hit it off, obviously. But then the things got serious, and she was like, "You have to move." And I'm like, "Huh? I'm not sure what that means." I know, why don't you move? Oh no, my whole family's in LA, blah blah blah. I'm like, okay, cool. So I did. I took the leap of faith, and I moved, and it felt like it was a different planet. And even I'm talking now 30 years ago, Levi, and things have gotten progressively worse. But the point is, so first couple of years, I still have the New York mindset. Like, we would go to parties with my wife, and then I'd be just me. I like being me. I don't want to just act like somebody else. And then on the way home, I would get the riot act, from the wife, and she would say, like, "Why did you say that to that guy?" And I'm like, "What do you mean? I didn't say anything. He's just like, he's an adult. He should be able to handle it." And yeah, that was the biggest difference initially, but then you get used to it. You just kind of roll with the punches.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I've been to LA, I don't know, 2, 3 times.
Yeah.
In fact, I went to LA. This is a fun story. I went to LA when I visited Vegas. So in 1997, 1998, something like that, I went to
Mm-hmm.
Vegas, and I was in a casino, and I looked at the sports book, and the Dodgers were playing the Braves. And I was
Okay.
like, oh, that's great. And it was in LA. It was Hideki Nomo versus John Smoltz, if you know anything about baseball, right? Those are
Yeah, yeah,
two
yeah,
famous pitchers,
absolutely.
right?
Those are
Right.
the superstar pitchers. Yeah, yeah.
Right, right. So I put like $10 on the game, and I convinced my buddies to drive from Vegas to LA to watch the game. And we went there, watched the game. The Braves beat the Dodgers. I'm a big Braves fan, and
Okay.
yeah, we drove all the way back to Vegas. But that was probably my favorite trip to LA, which is what Anaheim's not even really LA, but to everybody
Yeah,
else, it's like
yeah.
LA.
Yeah,
But yeah,
Anaheim is Orange County. That's a completely different category altogether. Um, but
yeah,
no, LA has changed quite a bit, and I've been here. I don't know, it's close to 30 years now, and
right.
it has changed a lot. And, you know, some things for the better, some things for the worse, obviously. Just like every city, you know, the country has changed over the last 30 years, don't you think, Levi? I
It's
mean,
completely different. Yeah.
yeah.
Well, I say it's completely different, but it's still the same. I mean,
Oh,
just the issues
absolutely. Yeah,
changed, right? Yeah.
yeah,
Do you remember like when oh my gosh, the crazy like political conversations of like George Bush, and he was like the spawn of the devil, and then even Ronald Reagan or Bill
yeah,
Clinton. And so I kind of like I'm putting the category of the nation changing in the world of politics here for a second, but it's not that I want to talk about that, but I just
yeah.
think like it's still the same stuff. Like so Trump is or Obama, they're the spawn of the devil, and I'm like, well, every president has been like that, I think.
Yeah, I think so too. I mean, you know, politically things have changed too, though. We had a little bit more decorum in those days, and now it's all,
Yeah.
now we're off the races. It's just now everything goes. Everything
No,
is go.
everything goes.
And
So
but also, you know, like just like what we do, right? You drive and I
yeah.
drive here and there as well, you know. But you know what it is? It's social media has a lot to do with it. The speed of dissemination of information has changed
Mm,
a lot, right? We have everything in our little, you know, things, rocket launchers, I call it, the cell phones in our pockets, right? And I'm like, you know, just you can do anything you want with that thing. You can do good, you can do bad, or you could just influence others, and you know. But yeah, I mean, look, you only have one life, and
yeah.
you have to do the best you can, and that's why I don't look back too much. You know, I just go, okay, I try to learn from my mistakes, and that comes from my original trading days on the desks of, you know, prime brokers in New York City. And you know, trading teaches you a lot, okay?
Hmm.
And it's very similar to driving, and it's very similar, you know, a lot of fundamentals of trading are life changing, really, if you can adapt and adjust just like you did as a driver over
Hmm.
the years. It's really, really important. So, you know, I keep saying that on well, myself in private, but then I've been saying that for 4 years now publicly is I have three P's that rules me. All right, it rules my trading, and it rules my ride sharing. It rules the way I deal with people. Is the three P's are patience, you know, position, and planning. And if you don't have those three, you're definitely not going to be a good rideshare driver, and you're 100% not going to be a good trader or actually have some longevity, actually, or consistency. So, to me, I try to stick to those rules.
Yeah, you're not going to be a very good golfer either if you don't have those
No,
three. Those three are really important for golf.
I'm a very good teacher. I'm not a great golfer. I used to be pretty decent, but then golf is not a lower back friendly sport. And I played the round ball, as you know, we have a common theme there too with you, with our
Yeah.
sons, right? Playing the real football, not the egg-shaped football. And I played all my life. I played in high school in Germany. I played here when I got to college, and it's physical sport. And then you know you carry those injuries, and progressively they get worse as you get older. And golf is not a back-friendly sport, although I do love the game. I enjoy it whenever I can get out.
It's snowing here today in upstate New York, so
Already?
golf Yeah, golf. Yeah, it normally snows before Halloween. We got our first snowfall this year after Halloween,
Okay.
but yeah, the golf clubs and everything are put away for the next 5 6 months. The Masters. That's when they come back out.
Well, not unless you travel somewhere with decent weather, right?
That's fair. Yeah, that's fair. I probably won't though. I mean, I'm old enough now where I don't have to play golf year round to get the
Yeah,
enjoyment.
yeah.
I can put it away, and it's kind of fun to pick it up in the beginning of the spring and see what happens. Yeah,
See where the golf swing is.
yeah. Well, so the past. So this is what I know about you, Sergio, is that you're a really good golfer from back in the day. Your son and you have a background in soccer. You're from New York. You're living out in L.A., and you have a history or background in the world of trading, and that's kind of the past, right?
Yeah.
And I'm sure there's more to it. But what else about the past is kind of like spurring you on right now? What are you thinking about?
I'm thinking about, to be honest with you, live as cleanly as I can, right? I have vices. Like I still smoke here and there, and I'm trying to stop, which is the worst addiction on the planet, worse than coffee, I think. And but trying to take care of my health because I'm going to be 58 in March, and we're not getting younger, and all the injuries I collected are all showing up now. But then it is what it is. But the past is what else I learned from the past is, look, we all make mistakes in life. I've made plenty,
Yeah.
from trading to, when I say trading, by the way, it's a really, really high stress business. And I learned to become more, I've become more mature with age, but I've learned my past was a quadruple A personality. Okay, not triple A, quadruple A. Okay, and once in a while that still comes out, but then I have downgraded to probably double A from quadruple A. And I tried, I tried to look back and say, uh, you know, not regretfully, but I just go like, I probably should not have done that. And learn. I'm still learning, even in trading, I'm still learning, I'm adapting, I'm adjusting because things change, speed of things change, everything changes in this life, and we must all adapt and adjust, and that comes obviously from the finance point of view, but also personal growth, personal, um, how you treat people and
Mm.
how you expect to treat people. And I'm from the Middle East. I'm Armenian, so we have that genetic makeup
Yeah.
of respect, right? It goes a long way. Respect your elders, respect life, and respect.
Mm.
I don't pay too much attention about material stuff, but I have a great, comfortable living. I'm not going to deny it. And then the other thing that comes from the past, Levi, is how wonderful this country has been to me.
Mm.
Uh, how, I mean, I've obviously used the brain God gave me, but how free you are here in this country. And when I do talk to folks, they complain about ridiculous things. I go, I would suggest you guys travel a little bit. I'll be like in a line maybe at a bank, or my kids will complain, oh, Wi-Fi is so slow. I go, what? What's wrong? Wi-Fi is not slow. But then, those things. I mean, those the past is just um, it teaches you a lot. It's life lessons. And I've been on this planet for 58 years, and I also go back to the past of my dad's, uh, rest in peace now. My dad's advice to me, when I was my son's age now, because my son's at the age of like, I know everything. He's going to be 16 in March, and I'm like, you don't know anything. You've been on this planet only for 16 years. I've been on this planet for 58. I just in time. I have the thing on you. So, but that's has past taught me a lot of good things and a lot of things I wouldn't repeat. And that's what I'm trying to do, man. Past is something you learn from, I think, and all going forward now, last few years especially, I'm just trying to give my kids the right attitude about life, and because they're under a lot of pressure. I do understand it. You know, social media, friends, peer pressure, all that stuff. It's
Hmm.
different than the past, and you know, you adapt, you adjust, but you also have the line in the sand. You just kind of don't go with the Joneses. You don't have to. You know, you can still do the right thing. And those are the things, man. You know, past is a good barometer of not necessarily what the future is going to look like, but do something good with your past. Don't ignore it completely.
Yeah, well, that's so wise. The older I get, the more I appreciate being around and listening to people that are older than me and
Yeah,
wiser than me. And it doesn't have to be, it could be any subject too.
yeah,
It doesn't really matter. And that's one of the reasons why I like Uber driving so
yeah,
much
yeah.
is the variety of people that I meet. And, college students where I make most of my money, that's fun. And it does pay the bills and I get that. But
Hmm.
it's like taking the lady, picking her up at the nursing home and taking her to, her appointment. Some of those conversations and the people that I meet tend to be the best. That's what makes this gig really worth it. I don't know. Do you have that same experience?
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
when I drive still, I've been in LA, let's say close to 30 years. There are still spots that it takes me that I have never been. I mean, LA
Hmm.
is a widespread county, obviously, but that's one thing that I get to see the beautiful parts of the city that I've never had a chance to visit, number one. And obviously, what you said is very correct, 100%. The folks that you meet from all types of backgrounds, and you can learn from those people. They don't have to be a CEO sitting in your back seat, you know.
No.
Actually, you learn more from everyday folks than the other ones. But LA is also full of superficial folks out there, you know, from physics to physical the look to all the way down, you know,
I think
internally.
that's a common trait amongst everybody on the planet. I
Usually.
drive a lot of Uber. I do a lot of Uber driving in Ithaca, New York, where Cornell
Yeah,
University is, and my worst passengers. I mean, I guess they're interesting to some. Everybody's interesting to some level, but the worst passengers tend to be like the MBA or students or the law students. They're either trying to get into McKinsey, as a consultant, or they're or they're trying to do big bank finance, or they're trying to
right.
work at a big law firm, and they're just so like full of themselves, like how smart
Yeah,
they are, right?
yeah,
And whereas you get that humble, wise person that a McDonald's manager,
yeah,
and there's something to the way they carry themselves that I resonate with, and you're right. And the variety. Now, I don't have the same experience you have. I drive in a county of 100,000 people,
yeah.
maybe, So I get to see a lot of different farmland and a lot of cows, but I definitely don't get to experience the variety of a city like LA. That's got to be. Do you get lost?
Thank God the GPS. Yeah, I would be definitely lost. There are parts of it, especially if you're driving at night, you've never been in a neighborhood. I mean, yeah, thank God the GPS. I would definitely get lost. But you know, I know I'm pretty decent with where I'm going, and kind of have an idea if I'm going east, west, south, or north. But then when you get into the neighborhoods, you're going, "Whoa, this is interesting." But no, maybe about your MBA students, I have
Yeah.
two letters for them, AI. So when, I'll be like, okay, let's talk to you in a few years. Let's see what happens.
Yeah.
And that's one
That's
other thing, that's just kind of, that's changing from the past, right?
yeah.
The human, uh, I still, maybe I'm old world, I'm sure. I still believe humans are worth something, okay?
Yeah.
And human brain, I think, is the best computer ever, best supercomputer ever. And we have a lot of examples, obviously, of geniuses and what they created over these, 150 years in this country. But I don't know. I'm not. I'm very glass half full type of person. I
Yeah.
don't think too negatively, but then once in a while, I just go down the rabbit hole.
Oh
And
God.
yeah, my advice to those young, full of themselves people would be, let's talk to you when you have a family. Let's talk to you, when you're hunting for a job. Let's talk to you about these things. And but we'll see. We'll see.
No, yeah. It's I try not to. It's when I pick up the MBA or the business executive or whatever, I try not to divulge who I am,
Yeah,
and my background and what I've done before in the past, and because typically, if when that does happen, they transition into like almost like sorrow. Like, what
yeah,
have you done with your life? Why are you an Uber driver? Like they feel sad, you know. But yeah, the way they communicate. But I do feel like there's a lack of like there's a lack of like comprehension of what the potential is with AI, and I
yeah,
think our industry as rideshare drivers, we're kind of the first to really feel it with
yeah.
Waymo and robotaxi. The first real business or profession to go, that job is going away because it is, right. I mean, there's just the writing's on the wall.
Yeah, I 100% agree. And as an entrepreneur, um, I am trying to see the big picture, right? The writing on the wall, because humans also have a tendency of putting their head in the sand like an ostrich, and they go like, or looking at the end of the tunnel, right? They see the
Right.
light. I go, that's not the exit. That's the train coming at you. So, so look at the tunnel, Levi. So it's like if you see the light, then it's not always the end of the tunnel. It's not the exit. And
It's heavy.
I'd be like, yeah. So I'm trying to put together a lot of stuff, on my own, and hopefully with the help of the companies, or put my own little fund together to how do I, I'm always thinking of like, how do I make money? How do I improve the situation I'm in? And I do believe for a while now that's the future of transportation. Not necessarily in Ithaca, maybe, but definitely in all the metropolitan, major metropolitan cities, right?
It Waymo. There's been some news reports, and Uber drivers have seen Waymo here in Syracuse and Rochester,
Oh, wow.
actually testing already. Obviously, one of the big hurdles that autonomous cars are going to have is to deal with really bad weather.
Yeah,
And we get it. It's been snowing pretty good. We've got 2, 3 inches so far the last few
wow.
days of snow, and it takes an experienced driver to handle that. LA gets wet roads, right? And I'm imagining it's really slick because the oil just builds up after
Yeah,
months and months of dry. In those
yeah,
first few days of rain, it's probably really treacherous. But that's what it's like all winter long for 6 months. The roads can get really bad, and each road situation, each type of snow and ice, there's a feeling that you get through the accelerator pedal and the brakes and through your hands, and then you could see it on the road. You could tell what different types, and I know that cameras are going to get there, and I know that a robot is going to have better dexterity and better reactions than I do.
yeah,
But it's really hard when it's snowing sideways, and there's an instinctual way to drive to handle it, and it's going to be a challenge for those autonomous cars for the next, imagine, few years. I hope, I hope
yeah.
for a few
Well,
years.
I agree with you, except that they are launching in two places that I did not think it would happen so fast. Which one is Denver, okay,
Hmm.
and commercially, by the way, not just testing, and the other one is Seattle. So it rains in Seattle probably 300 days a year. So that's pretty slick, I'm pretty sure.
Right.
And in Denver, maybe they don't get as much snow as your neck of the woods, but they are going to experience that. So I'm thinking these brilliant folks at these companies are going to have some sort of software adjustment or whatever it is that they have to do. But then, there's physics as well, right? I mean, if it's
Right.
snowing sideways, all those lidars and radars and cameras, they're going to be covered, right? Or they may even freeze once they get the snow on them. So, look, I think we're in the first inning of this revolution, the transportation revolution. And I think I'm betting that if you have a child that's, let's say, 5 years old to 10 years old, I don't think they're even going to have a driver license, and I don't think they're going
Yeah.
to own a car. I don't think
Yeah,
they
I
are.
agree.
Yeah,
I've got a granddaughter. She's 6,
yeah, that,
and I don't think she's ever gonna drive a car. Yeah. Did you see Tesla is launching a rental program? So for whatever dollar a month, you can just get a car for like $80 a day or $60 a day or some sort
oh,
of,
like a
I don't know if
subscription car?
a subscription. Yeah. So you can get any one of their vehicles, which makes total sense. I was talking to probably 10 years ago, 15 years ago, I was talking with a car dealership that was
Hmm.
trying to move to that model because one of the challenges is as cars get more and more expensive,
Yeah,
one of the reasons why cars are getting so much bigger is because we're trying to have one car solve everything,
yeah,
be a family mobile and travel long distances, be really economical and safe. And so we're trying to get these perfect cars to do everything for us when in reality 9 times out of 10, we just need a 2-seat car to get us to and from a place, kind of like that robo taxi,
yeah.
the Tesla one. But there are times when we're going to go on a road trip or we need a van or whatever it might be. And so some sort of subscription model was interesting. I think it's a stopgap to your point. I don't think it's the future, but as Tesla continues to manufacture cars at an absurd rate, and they're just going to flood the market with vehicles, it's almost inevitable that even if they don't put robotaxi as an autonomous feature into cities, they're going to put robotaxi as a driver's service into cities because they're just going to have so many cars. What else are they going to do with them?
No, I agree with you. And the subscription model has been kicked around for a while. There are some companies that are doing that now, but I think Tesla or Elon, let's say,
Yeah,
long live. I think you should live forever.
yeah,
We need people
it's
like
great.
that on this planet. Uh, but not. I'm not a huge fanboy kind of a thing. But I mean, the guy is a genius, obviously. So, and
Yeah.
look at all the things he's doing simultaneously. I mean, I can hardly hold my coffee cup and trade at the same time. So, like,
The when being of our age, I'm 51 and you're 58,
yeah.
watching those rockets land,
Oh, it blows me away.
especially when they're like in 4K, I feel
Yeah,
like I'm watching a movie and then I realize that's real life. That's not CGI. That's a real thing that's taking place.
yeah.
And it's crazy. I went to, oh gosh, Sergio, this is 20 some odd years ago, maybe more. I went to go watch the space shuttle launch down in
Oh, okay.
Florida,
Yeah,
and I got invited by a vendor and stuff like that. So I got pretty close, and it happened right at sunrise. But the sheer power and the noise that it makes, and it lit up the horizon. It was like there was like one sliver of light on the
yeah,
horizon from the sun rise, and all of a sudden, just when the rockets went off, it lit up the sky like it was daytime, and
yeah,
the noise and everything. And these rockets are small
yeah.
compared to what Elon's building. And I agree with you. We can find flaws in every human, and
Oh,
Elon
sure.
sure has his. But in terms of just this living in an age with the person that's doing absurd, extraordinary things is really exciting.
Yeah, for me, it's just those are the types of people you need the youth to emulate and look up to, as opposed to some influencer somewhere, or some athlete or whatever. I mean, nothing wrong with athletes, don't get me wrong,
Hey, that's
but
what I do for a living here, Sergio. Don't be
yeah,
dogging out the influencer.
yeah, I know that's like you know they are, but especially the latest, the one that he catches those rockets with chopsticks. It looks like, bro,
Yeah,
come on now, come on now.
it's it's crazy.
That
But
thing
we're
was, I
kind of,
mean, that thing misses by an inch. That thing is going to crash and burn badly. And I'm
oh
going
my
like,
gosh.
you look at the angles these things coming on, the speed that they're coming on, and I'm like, wow, that's just some human ingenuity right there. But I was actually, now that we're talking about Elon,
Yeah.
I don't know if you watch podcasts, but whenever I have, like, I'm in the car, I'm trying to kill some dead space or time, or
Yeah.
like at my son's soccer practices for hours, right?
I hate those soccer practices.
Bro, come on,
Oh,
man.
dude, I did that for, I think I told you my son's already done playing soccer. He
Yeah,
graduated college a year or so ago.
yeah.
But yeah, I hated soccer practices. I was not one of those parents that would get into it. I was more focused on watching my son on the sidelines. Like, was he paying attention to the coach,
Yeah.
making eye contact, stuff like that. But oh my God. Yeah. But podcasts, which ones are you listening to?
Well, the other day I watched because the practice went a little longer than it should have probably.
Yeah.
I skipped a little bit of it, but then I watched most of it. So Elon was on Joe Rogan's podcast last week, I think,
Yeah.
maybe 10 days ago. So I watched the whole thing. So I just want to try to, ask you this actually, because I respect your opinion about these things. Is so that Joe Rogan was talking about, look, Joe Rogan is great, obviously, all the followers
Yeah.
and whatever, but then he's a meathead, right? I mean, he's
He's a
a
meathead.
UFC guy, so, he got hit in the head a lot. So I'm going like, okay, and then so they started talking about the future, right? Maybe we
Yeah.
can kind of
Transition here. Yeah.
transition into the future, and they were talking about AI, right? So
Yeah.
Elon, as you know, is very careful about what AI can do, the good and the bad, obviously. But he was talking about what a utopia AI could be potentially.
Hmm.
Well, I was like, okay, I'm all ears now. And as you know, Elon was a supporter of UBI, Universal Basic Income, right?
Yeah.
Because a lot of jobs are going to be replaced with this AI. There is no ifs and buts about it. So let's just take 4 or 5 million rideshare drivers potentially. Let's take millions of truck drivers potentially. And this is what these people have done all their lives. I mean, we can't go retrain these people to write code or whatever. Not that coders are now losing their jobs.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
but anyway, but Elon said something. He says, you know, forget about UBI. It's going to be universal high income. And
Yeah.
I'm going like, okay, I'm really interested now, Elon. How do we get there? I'll follow you. And then Joe Rogan, being Joe Rogan, he took it in a way that, like, if I was or you were interviewing Elon, I would go, Elon, let's get into that a little bit. And Joe Rogan was like, oh, so I can do what I'm passionate in life about for 24 hours a day now because I don't have to worry about my income. I was like, Elon, how do we get to universal high income, my man? Explain that to me, please. Unless the cost of every good is going to go to zero, I don't know how we get to universal high income with AI. So maybe, you have some thoughts about that. So Joe Rogan didn't push him. Joe
Right.
Rogan goes like, oh, now I can go play golf then 24 hours a day. I'm going like,
It's right.
no. It's like, we need to live, man. We need to eat food and whatever. I don't know how that's going to work out. Universal high income.
I don't know either. Do you remember when Nancy Pelosi she
Oh,
said something like the reason why we need universal basic income or health insurance or something along those lines is so people can be freed up to do what they want. And I
mhm.
remember that was kind of being mocked, and I understand why it was being mocked from the perspective of the past. But one of the things I've learned is that even with the lowest of income in America, we
Yeah,
have a super high standard of living. Like the
yeah,
things that I judge as low quality would be absurdly amazing to people even 20 years ago to some extent, 50 years ago for
yeah,
sure.
yeah,
I mean, like for example, my Tesla. Now I drive a
yeah,
Tesla. I really like my car. And for a mere $100 a month and a car that I paid $38,000 for, brand
yeah,
new, it drives itself. It's faster than almost every car that exists. It's extremely comfortable. And
yeah.
I've put 130,000 miles in that car. And
Already?
literally, already, oh, dude, Sergio, I drive, dude. What do you think I do for a living?
My God. How long you had that thing? A year and a half?
Almost 24 months now. Almost 2 years. Yeah, 20, I'd say 22 months. Just, yeah.
Okay. Is it still
Yeah.
holding together? Your battery's
It's,
all good? Everything good?
well, the batteries had 17 to 18% degradation.
That's not bad.
So it's not bad at all. Yeah, that's my point. Is the car's absurdly good, and I know people don't like Tesla or whatever, and that's fine.
Oh, yeah,
But
that's fine.
the quality of the food I can go to a grocery store and get, even still with inflation, it's still relatively cheap. It's still, honest to goodness truth, relative to human history, the quality of the food that we're able to get in the variety of apples I can choose from when I go to the grocery store.
Yeah.
Heating, air conditioning, the absurd amount of information and entertainment I can get from just my phone, the connectivity, just you can go through a list of everything. It's just crazy, and so I don't know how we get there. I think it's going to be a very rough patch of human history, this
Yeah.
transition to the future. But I'm starting to believe that the potential is there for us to live a life of artistry slash craftsmanship. And let me give you an example.
Okay.
In the future, humans can have, I don't know, an IKEA life where there's like the basic chair and the basic couch in your room and whatever. There's like basic furniture, but you pay a lot of money to get an armoire that was designed by a craftsman on the other side of the planet because that's a piece of art and so like that. And your job, maybe instead of going to go work as a computer programmer or something else like that, maybe you're a chef. And so people 6 days out of the week will just eat, slop that comes from a machine, like a Slurpee machine. But one day a week, they go to your restaurant because you're a
Yeah.
craftsman and you're an artisan. And we're kind of already getting there. I mean, there are some jobs that do not require some level of mastery. There are jobs that are pretty basic. Even ours as Uber drivers and maybe
Yeah.
rideshare people, yeah, maybe that's kind of like basic. But I think a lot of people, from people that put together spreadsheets and PowerPoint presentations, there's an artistry and a mastery that kind of goes there. I think people that can obviously restaurants, entertainment. You can kind of go through a list of everything that there are people that are already artisans. We just have to get there. And I don't know if income is the right solution or maybe that there's a basic supply of things,
Yeah.
whatever they might be. And then that's your government issued whatever. And then anything over and above that is your ability as a creator to create whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe,
That's
I don't
gonna.
know.
I think. But I think that's going to change as well, right? The creator,
Right.
as a creator, things. I mean, I'm already using AI, right? I'm sure you are.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we use it on our channel and my new finance channel. And but universal high income, if that means free time, basically, time is money, right? So if you're going to have so much free time to do whatever you're passionate in life about, but AI is able to do all that better than you anyway. So I'm not sure, but I was just kind of thinking about. I don't know what he meant, and I would love to find out what he really truly meant, right? But I think going to that AI rabbit hole, I think we will be able to probably cure a lot of these dreaded diseases and a lot of, extend life expectancy and all these things, right? And maybe that is the gift of AI to humanity, that I am going to live a little healthier and more time on this planet to spend with loved ones and friends and family and things like that. And maybe that's the upside of AI, but I don't know. But I was thinking about that, and I go like, I would love to know, pick Elon's brain about how do we get to universal high income? Maybe income not in the sense of dollars. Maybe that's what he meant, that in the sense of satisfaction, in the sense of what you're trying to do in life.
Yeah.
Maybe that's what he meant.
Well, if you ever so I have this thought about money.
By the way,
So
are we on FSD now, Levi? Are we using FSD now?
do I use it?
No, right now we're driving. What are you using?
Yes. I'm not even looking at the road, man. I've been looking in the rearview mirror
I
actually
figured, I
the
was
entire
like, this
time.
guy's not even looking down the road. I'm like, I'm not sure.
Oh my gosh.
It's in the app.
I have about 3 weeks ago, I got the newest Tesla FSD software, the 14 point whatever, and it now my FSD doesn't work. And it's been the worst experience. To your kids not having high speed Wi-Fi, that's my worst experience in life. I now have to actually drive the car.
Oh, God.
And so I have an appointment with Tesla, and I'm gonna get it fixed. it's just like there's something wrong with my horn that doesn't whatever. It's like, one switch leads to another. But for like 3-4 weeks now, I've been actually driving my car, and it's fun to drive for like, I don't know, 5 minutes.
10 minutes.
Yeah, but it's so nice to put the car in FSD and just
Yeah.
sit there, especially between Uber rides.
Yeah.
And oh my God, it's absurd.
Well, I
But
think
okay,
I think you may have a problem with your hardware, though. I don't think it's a software problem. I don't know what generation hardware you have in the car. You said it's 2 years old. You probably have
I have hardware
old.
for. I have the latest hardware. It's a hardware problem with my speaker on the horn. So when you put the car in reverse,
Yeah,
or when you're going really slow, the cars make a little bit of noise.
yeah. That
Well, that's
whiny
not
noise.
working. It's not
Oh, okay.
making any noise, and so that way it's like a kill switch. It prevents it from going into FSD because that's one of the safety features of FSD.
Oh,
So
okay.
I have to get that part replaced
Okay.
and do that. Basically, what happens when you live in a place like upstate New York, snow and corrosion ruin everything on the bottom of your car, and that's where that horn is.
Yeah.
It's like kind of it's sitting down a spot where it's just
Well,
and
but
grime is
I know
ate
you
it
keep your
away.
car spotless, though. I know you keep your car spotless. And
Well, at least the parts that I can tell. I mean, I wash it a couple times a day, especially when it snows a lot. When it snows a lot, you
yeah,
want to go wash your car a bunch because it gets that hot water in there and just gets all that gunk out. And I definitely get it cleaned inside every day.
you got the salt too, right? Do they dump salt anymore, or I don't
That's all we
know.
do. Yeah, the roads are just covered in salt for the next 6 months. Yeah,
Yeah,
so you
that's
got
the
it.
problem. Yeah,
Yeah, you got
that's
to
the
do it.
problem.
But you mentioned something about we're talking about high income.
Yeah,
And you know, you probably being a trader, you've made good money, and I've made good money before in the past. And I have this theory, and I want to see if what you think about it as a money kind of guy, about what level of money is satiating. So I'm going to give you an example.
okay.
If I wanted to fly out to LA to see
Yeah,
you face to face, bring my
yeah,
golf clubs, get you, me, and Harry on the golf course one day.
yeah,
I just go to, some sort of website and I buy
yeah,
a basic ticket
yeah,
and I fly out there. And maybe I'm flying in the middle of coach.
yeah,
I won't, maybe the back of the plane. I don't know. But and I go, oh God, wouldn't it be so great to fly private? Right. And I'm looking at Elon Musk and his private jet. And I've never flown private, but I have friends that do have private jets and they're really wealthy. And and I can imagine like the luxury of the seat, having champagne on a private jet, and I look up and I go, that is high income. That's an amazing life, and I'm jealous and envious of that as a
yeah,
human. I think it's a natural kind of thing. But then the reality is that even me flying in the back of a plane from New York, LaGuardia, all the way out to LA, is so much more luxurious than most humans still get to travel.
yeah,
They have to, maybe do some sort of train or a bus. Even just 100 years ago, those were one-way trips,
yeah,
and in 200 years ago, people were dying. I mean, there are places on the planet where people take those trips and people die. And so I think the gap between the life that I live and the super wealthy, it looks absurdly large, but it
yeah,
really isn't. Like
mhm,
I've been to great steakhouses and steaks are really good, but a
yeah.
$500 steak isn't that much better than a $30 steak. It's
Yeah,
not
it goes the
that much
same
better.
thing with wine. It
Yeah,
goes the same thing with whiskey, and it goes the same thing, right? Look,
that's right.
so actually, funny you mentioned that or brought that up. I was talking to another trader that actually met on X. There are still some decent people on X, unlike popular belief. Most are BS artists, but then there are some decent folks out there. Anyway,
Right.
he lives in Texas, and then he's a big trader, and we were exactly talking about this the other day. So he did this. He went down the rabbit hole himself, and he goes, Sergio. He goes, if you make $100,000 a day, we were talking about Elon, right? The richest man
Hmm.
on the planet, and and he was like, if you made 100,000 a day, 365 days a year, that's a lot of money, right? I go, yeah, absolutely, that's incredible. And then he goes, now go multiply that times 2025, okay? I go, well, how are we getting there? He goes, well, that's when, Jesus, right? And this is
Right, right.
going back, right? So let's say you're as old as time. Time multiply that times 2025. So we did it on the calculator. Actually, we came up with $74 billion, Levi. And then at Elon's wealth of $350 billion, he's like four 2025's worth of wealth, right? And
It's
then he told
crazy.
me, he said, I feel like a loser, Serge. That's when I kind of go, nope, I got to
No.
stop you there. I got to stop you there. Because Elon puts the pants one leg at a time, just like me. Well, look, he can do anything he wants, obviously. But I go, I don't think money is a good judge of success on this planet. I have met a lot of people who are very successful in what they do, and they don't care much about material things. And Elon seems like he doesn't either. And most rich people, like Warren Buffett's, and I mean, a lot of these
That's right.
billionaires, multi-hundred billionaires, don't really care much. I mean, you look at Zuck and for Meta, and you look at all these people, right? So to me, I told him, I go, look, I'm older than you. He's 50. He just turned 50. He goes, I feel like a loser, Serge. I go, no, actually, you're an amazing winner. It's because I go, for each one of the, how many Elons are there, let's say, right? Maybe 20
Yeah.
Elons on the planet, multi-hundred billionaires. And I go, for each one of those, it's like you want to be in his shoes, right? And you feel like a loser because you don't have $400 billion. I go, do you know how many people want to be in your shoes and in my shoes, right?
Right.
Probably a solid 5 to 6 billion people want to be in our shoes because we live a beautiful life, we have beautiful families, we have our health to a point. Every day you wake up is a blessing. So I try to give him a little bit of sage advice because I think he's chasing a little too much of the material stuff, right? But the lesson of this is you got to be content and happy with what you have, and then it'll totally show in so many parts of your life when you do that, as opposed to chase the almighty dollar. And it seems like that's another disease we have in this country these days. We just got to chase and keep up with the Joneses. Oh, bigger house, bigger car, better this, or more watches, and more this and more that. Just like you said, there's no difference between a $500 steak and a $100 steak, and there's not that much difference between a 3,000 bottle wine and about a $30 bottle of wine.
That's
But
right.
we're all human, man. And but yeah, these kind of things I think about, and finance is a funny topic. If I may just get into that for a couple of minutes, right? So
Yeah, yeah.
finance to me is, look, I'd rather have money than not have money. Okay, that's a given. I mean, come on.
That's right.
Money is not everything, but it solves a lot of problems.
But it's something.
And the lack of it, yeah, and lack of it will create a lot of problems. Okay, from basic putting food on the table to all kinds of things. Because as we know, we have a very high divorce rate in this country of 60% plus. And most of the reasons when it comes to that is, besides infidelity, obviously, I would say it's money, it's finances. And I'm going to ask for your help, actually, Levi, in this matter. And I'm asking everybody that I know to help me with this. I want to improve financial literacy in this country
Mm.
somehow. And it's going to start with the 4, 5, 6, 8, 10, 20 million gig workers in this country, and then go from elementary school all the way to, and that's the future that I'm talking about, all the way to college kids. Because I think financial literacy in this country is lacking to the point that it's the reason for the country to go the wrong direction. People don't think that they're in charge of their financial future anymore.
Hmm.
I think you, as a person, are in charge of your financial future. And it comes with information, it comes with knowledge, it comes with patience, but most importantly, it comes with time. And that's what I want to do the rest of however long I'm going to be on on these platforms. I want to pivot a little bit, as opposed to telling rideshare drivers how to be successful and make another $3 an hour in their city. I want to go, okay, Who's taking care of that other stuff that you really should be taking care of it? Who's teaching you about compounding? Who's teaching you about rule of 72? Who's simple things? Because finance could
Hmm.
be, as you have you're educated. It could be very complicated. I don't want to dumb it down, but what I want to do is I want to talk to you that the basics are enough for you to get to your financial goals. And
Yeah.
most people don't even have the basics. And that's what I want to do for the rest of however long I am on these channels. And so yeah, that's my new mission in life because I see it. I see our kids being taught everything at middle school, from sex education to whatever it is, and kids leaving college with a useless degree and $300,000 in student loans that they're going to pay for the rest of their life because when they took that loan out, they probably didn't know the math, how long it's going to take them to pay that back, and then the major you studied is not going to
Even
get you
exist.
paid enough to pay that back. So all these
Oh my
things,
gosh. I did this thing with my kids as they're getting ready to enroll in college, and I
yeah,
and my daughter, she's 27.
yeah,
She went to college, did really well. She did take on some debt, but
yeah,
and same with my son. Even though he was, scholarship athlete and stuff like
yeah,
that, he still has debt,
yeah,
and they're both doing really really well now in on their own. But I just basically showed them, okay, I was like, listen, if you went to go work at your local McDonald's,
yeah,
and you get another job. Let's say you're working 60 hours a week, minimum wage. How long do you think it would be before you're the manager at one of those places?
yeah,
And probably, let's say a year or two or whatever the right number is, maybe 3 years. And say, if you were to go to graduate high school and start that job, you'd probably would have made, let's say, $100,000 over those 4 years, if not more. And if you
yeah,
stay here at the house and all your expenses are covered, you might have, 70 something $1,000 in the bank.
yeah,
Let's say if we invest that money, you'd be wealthy for the rest of your life.
yeah,
And I say, now if you go to college, that's fine. And let's do that. Your mom and dad are both college graduates. I got nothing against it. But if you take on hundreds of thousands of dollars in debt, and then compare that to the $70,000 of positive cash flow that you would have had in
yeah,
the 4 years of experience, you're so far behind a minimum wage worker at a McDonald's. Now I'm not saying you get stuck at minimum wage and you're going to be the fryer person for the next 4 years or anything like that. My point is just the value of your time and effort at that young age and the ability to compound that money as opposed to going into debt. That's a huge risk. And so with both of my kids that have already graduated from college, I think you're right. It's a tough decision because Sergio, I'm sure your kids have already hearing it too. If they don't go to college, it's like, well, they're failures. They're behind the power curve. But you've got to do it financially wise. You have to do it kind of going in there with your eyes open of how much money it's going to cost you and what's the real value of that.
yeah. I 100% agree. And in fact, Elon was talking about that on the podcast with Joe Rogan. He goes, look, go to trade school. There's no embarrassment going to trade school. And guess what? My son is a sophomore in high school.
Yep.
Besides his soccer career, obviously, wherever that's going to take him. Um, he was like, Dad, I'm not college material. I'm like, I'm glad you figured that out on your own without me telling you. My daughter, completely different. She's finishing 4-year undergrad in 3 years, going to go to med school next year. And boy,
Nice.
we're going to have some bills, right? But then
That's right.
I'm well off enough to take care of that. I don't want her to have one penny of student loans, obviously. But
Right.
my son was like, I think I'm just going to be an electrician, Dad. I go, amazing, amazing. I go, because in these 4 years that some kid is going to go to get a useless degree at college, you're going to be so well set off in those 4 years. You're going to be so far ahead, and especially once you know, I talk to them about finance and investing, long-term investing, power of compounding all the time. I mean, they have their own accounts. They drip, drip, drip into it, right? And
Yeah.
here's a little tidbit for rideshare drivers and everybody else that's going to listen to this. So if you took $100 a month, and if you're at the age of 20, let's say, just a month, not a week, not day, 100 a month, and invested that with a 10% return, which is in the S&P 500 index for the next 40 years. This is outside your regular income. This is outside your 401k. This is outside your pension. This is outside your IRA, outside all of that. In 40 years, when you're turning 60, how much money would that turn into with a return of 10, 11% a year? It'll turn into $1.2 million. $100 a week. I mean, $100 a month. That's it. So
That's right.
people, just these simple things, right? And I tell them, we spend money on a lot of stuff to make us feel good. I'm not against spending money,
Right.
but I tell them, okay, as rideshare drivers, right, we're on the road a lot. And we go spend a lot of money on coffee. We go spend a lot of money on junk food. We go spend a lot of money on stuff that we can just not do that. Take a sandwich maybe from home. Instead of going to Starbucks 6 times a week, maybe go 3 times a week. Take that additional 6, 8, 10, $20 and then dump it into some account and then forget about it. Set it and forget it. Now, you don't have to be me. You don't have to be actively trading and, trying to beat the benchmarks and things like that. But that's what I want to do. I want to educate because I think the rideshare drivers are setting themselves up for failure when the car breaks down. When they need money and this is not for rideshare drivers, by the way. The savings rate in this country is abysmal. Like a couple of 35 don't have a rainy day fund. Why don't they? That's because they spend everything because we're a spender society. We love spending. Right? 80% of our gross domestic product is all spending.
Oh my
So
gosh.
it
It's
is.
so funny. Do you remember when you first started doing rideshare and
Uh,
you found out that the insurance deductible for rideshare was like $2,500? And
yeah,
so and I'm sure you did the same thing I did, but the first thing I did when I started doing rideshare and I decided it wasn't going to be a gig, it was going to be a profession.
yeah,
And I was like, you know what? I opened up a bank account and
yeah,
all of my Uber money goes in there. And I didn't spend a penny out of that account until it was more than $2,500.
yeah,
And on top of that, when I do the income that I get from Uber every week,
yeah,
I take out my wage,
yeah,
but I keep all of my costs in there. And every time I go get electricity from a fast charger, or if I have to go get new tires or whatever, or if I go buy a new vehicle, I'm pulling money out of that account. That's my business account for rideshare. And the pushback I get from drivers on that, and I understand it because most people, I think, get into rideshare out of necessity. They need
yeah,
money.
yeah,
And so every time you get $100 in your account from Uber, you work a night shift and you make $300 or whatever you make,
yeah,
and you get that money, you immediately apply that to that credit card bill or to that car payment or
yeah,
whatever. And just that discipline that you're talking about, taking a little bit of piece of that. If you're going to get $300 put into your account, take $30 and put it into that rideshare business account just to have it. So when the car does break down, you have money, and that's an asset. That's equity. I was talking to a banker, a credit union person. A lot of rideshare drivers struggle to get car loans, right? Because they don't
yeah,
have an income. But the credit union guy's like, oh no. He says that's the perfect way to do it. We would take a look at that account, and even if it doesn't have enough money in that account to pay for the vehicle, they see the transactions going into that account and the
yeah,
transactions coming out of that account, and they see that you're good with money. And a credit union would 100%, for the most part, loan you money. I mean, your credit score still has a factor in it, everything, of
right.
course, but it's like you're operating, and you don't have to do a lot. You just, like I say, put $30 a week into that account. So I think you're spot on, Sergio. $100 a month, just
Yeah.
even if it doesn't turn into $1 million, it's the discipline. It's like diets or
It will,
working
by the
out or
way.
anything
It
else.
will.
Yeah.
It will,
Yeah.
by the way. A lot of people don't know this either, but did you know that Warren Buffett, I mean, he's a goat, right?
Yeah.
Warren Buffett made bulk of his billions after the age of 60.
I
Because
know.
for the first 30 years, from 20 to or 30
Makes
to
so much.
60, it just yeah, he was a billionaire, a single billionaire maybe at 60, but then from 60 to 85, that turned into 150 billion, right? That's the power of compounding. And on your other point though, when you talk about, you had a business account, all the money goes in there, I believe not most, I would say probably 90% of rideshare drivers, like you said, they do this out of necessity.
Hmm.
It's cash flow. But then you have to manage cash flow properly, right? And I don't think any of them budget anything into their driving habits, right? And that includes the food, the water that they buy for $3 at a 7-Eleven, or an energy drink, or whatever that is. This will all add up. If you're driving for a year, two, three, four, you may think it's some frivolous little number. It's not. What's going to be is it's just going to add up to thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars. And I'm not telling you not to spend money, but I'm just telling you, do a simple paper and pen budget. You don't have to do like Levi and I do. You don't have to get into a spreadsheet with 10 columns, okay? You
I
just
love that though.
get a
I love
notebook.
that though. It's the
I
most
know
fun
you
thing
do.
I
You're the
do.
man. You're the spreadsheet man. But I'm just saying, take a notepad, just
Yeah.
notepad. Every day, do a little budget. Where did you spend the money? What could you have saved? And just dump that into some account that this just kind of grows. That's one. Two, most rideshare drivers these days, as you know, incomes have come down, right?
Yeah.
And to me, that is the best way for you to read the message, the writing on the wall. I mean, if that's not telling you anything, then I mean, look, this is like like an abused wife syndrome. I mean, if you're really just not making enough money, not getting much out of it, spiritually and financially and mentally, physically, it's a tough gig, right? Our backs and legs hurt every time, our hips hurt. So we're not getting younger. And my point is, you need to invest. You need to invest, and that's the thing, Levi. The rich in
Mm.
this country, 10%, top 10%, own 87% of all assets in this country. How did they get there? You know how they got there? They got there by long-term investing, and they got there by accumulating assets. You can accumulate assets $5 a day. You can accumulate assets $50 a day, $5,000 a day, whatever you can do. But all I'm saying is, for the everyday folk, rideshare driver, gig worker, you must start investing. It does not matter what and when and how, but that's my goal in life. I'm going to simplify this. I'm going to try to explain this to you in a way that make that your new addiction, as opposed to TikTok being your addiction. Because
You have
investing,
a you
once
have a
you invest for a
website,
while,
right?
Levi, once you invest for a while and you see that account growing on its own, right?
Right.
You will be addicted to that. Investing will be an addiction. And that's how the rich got to the top 10%. And that's how, and the wealth gap in this country, as wide as it is today, is because they know the trick. The trick was and is and always will be to invest. This is the greatest country on the planet, unlike what some people may think. This is where all the best and the brightest are. This is where you can be a shareholder of Uber. You can be a shareholder of Lyft. You can be a shareholder of Nvidia. You can be a shareholder of Tesla. You can be a shareholder of these brilliant people. You're partners with them. And there are tools today, unlike maybe 10 years ago. Even 10 years ago, yeah, you had to open an account, do this, do that. Now, you have companies like Robinhood that have democratized investing. Just invest. Just start. Start is the toughest thing to do for people, and specifically for rideshare drivers who use their cars as a cash machine, ATM machine. Man, if you take the money out of the ATM every day, take a 10, take a 5, put it in somewhere, put it in some account. You don't have to spend all of it. You won't even notice it, by the way. If you had a $300 day, you take a 5 or a $10 bill and put it in some account daily, you won't even notice it. And then that money will grow, and that money will be your rainy day fund. That money will be the new car fund. That money will turn into a substantial amount of money over periods of time. And I do understand the frustration. They go like, "Oh, I'm too old. Oh, I'm this. Oh, excuses galore, right?" I don't know. I'm not buying any of that. I'm not buying any of that. Yeah.
No. Well, I've been to your website. I've watched your YouTube channel, the things that you're producing, and I think you're spot on with it. You know what I like most about what you're doing, Sergio, is you're not trying to limit what you're doing. You're like, I'm going to educate the 30 million gig workers. I'm going to educate elementary school and high school kids and into college, and you have a big vision for it.
Yeah. I mean, I'm building it for it, and we're going to keep building it, obviously. And I'm going to start doing webinars, through it pretty soon. Subscribers or whoever you are. I think you look, this thing, is not a limited thing, because financial literacy for everyone is, it shouldn't be, it should be right to understand this stuff. But then at schools, we don't do it. Now, I have my ideas about it. We don't have to get into that, why they don't do it. We used to have, by the way, these kind of economics classes, and we got rid of all of that stuff.
I learned to balance a checkbook in high school. Yeah.
Well, your son didn't.
No, he did not.
Yeah. So that's in one generation, they go like, oh, they don't need to learn about this, but they have to learn about this. I'm like, okay, fine. But now, again, it's old world. It's going backwards now. We need to go back a little bit. We used to do a lot of good things in the past. And you said, like, what about the past, right? These types of things were in the past. This is what I want the conversation to be. Yes, you go talk about football at Thanksgiving. I get it. But also, I know a lot of families with kids. You know how you are. Like, you're tired. You came home. You drove all day. Your kid is interested in cryptocurrency, maybe, or he read something about Elon Musk and Tesla, and he wants to invest. He has $10. He has an allowance. He doesn't want to go buy candy with it, but he wants to invest. Well, as a parent, we have a duty to sit down and talk to them right at that second, because they have an interest right there. There's a little fire there. We need to make that like a bonfire, as opposed to kill the fire saying, oh, I'm so tired. Can we do this tomorrow? Can we do this the next day? And that's what's lacking. And that's my vision. That's what I want to do. I want to go, okay, let's make this a habit again, as opposed to flipping TikTok for 2 hours, which is brain cell killer for sure. I go, let's make this the topic of conversation at the water cooler. Let's make this the top. And not the ones, by the way, that people see with, on YouTube with their Lamborghinis, because those are those are gone, here today, gone tomorrow, right? Not
the
those
guy's selling a course, no
yeah,
doubt.
exactly. Right. If he was that good, he wouldn't be selling that course, right? I'm not selling anything. I am not doing anything. I don't want all I want is you to get the basics and get a head start in life, because if you want to get into the top 10%, that's what you have to do. Invest long term. Invest nonstop. Start investing today, and that's my message on that side. Anyway,
The passion you have for that, that one of the things that I've always gravitated to you as a person that is, and I've always been so amazed that you're able to speak at the highest levels of Lyft and Uber and meet with the senior teams there and stuff like that, but you don't come at it with any other thing other than a heart for the driver. And that matters so much to me. One of the things that it's hard for me to describe to people, and they tease and they mock a little bit when I say Uber driving is one of the hardest jobs I've ever done. It's fun, it's rewarding. I can occasionally make some money, whatever. But what makes it, and driving a car is not hard. What makes it hard, other than the physical demands of being in your car for so long, is that you're alone.
Yep.
You're just alone. You're not on a team. You're not with other coworkers. Uber is fighting you the whole way. They're trying to screw you over. The algorithm is. And I do take it personal, but I understand that it's kind of not, but I get that. But you're out there alone. And, it was always good for me to turn on YouTube and just hear you and Chris and everything else that Harry's doing over there at the Rideshare channel and stuff like that, with the Rideshare Guy channel, and just be like, okay, there are other people out there just like me trying to make it happen. And so it's just exciting that you're taking it to the next level. It's easy to be defeated. And I think a lot of content creators are defeated. I think some of them are doing, I like what Torsten's doing. I've always laughed at his content when he puts the mask on and everything. It's so funny. I wish I would have met him in person. He's so funny, but he's doing it right. He's putting drivers into a private business. I think that's really smart. Yep. And it's like everybody that has found a way to make a living as a content creator to some extent has found an exit, like Harry and what he's doing within the industry and stuff like that. And I think what you're doing, saying, okay, hey, listen, even if you're still going to drive, do something with that money.
Yeah.
Don't just blow it. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, my thing is, I know rideshare really well, and like you correctly stated, I talk to the, teams at Uber and Lyft all the time. And I think the reason we have been able to create a relationship like that we have, and it's a must, right? And I'm not talking about, keep your friends close, keep your enemy closer. I don't look at it that way. Every
Right.
time I talk to them, it's very respectful. They understand my background. They know what I'm saying is, okay, this guy is not just a YouTube jockey. Initially it was that thought that like I was just yelling on YouTube. I'm like, he's another professor or whatever. I'm like, no, I,
Yeah.
I, I I don't do that because I respect you and my Middle Eastern genes won't allow me to do that. If you come on
Yeah.
my show, I'm going to treat you with respect. I may disagree with you, but I'm not going to call you a bunch of names and kick you out. But but my thing is they understand that I am able to put myself in the CEO's shoes of Uber and Lyft. And I'm also able to put myself in the shoes of the driver because I drive.
Mm.
Very, rarely these days, but I still drive. I get my hands dirty. Okay. So I have this unique top down look of, okay, I know what the companies have to do to appease their shareholders because it's a must for them. They have responsibilities to run the companies as well as they could, although sometimes and most of the time at the cost of driver benefits. Okay, I get that. But then I also, as a driver, I once I put myself in their shoes, I feel what you feel. I feel what a lot of drivers feel, right? So
Mhm.
that top-down look has given me the advantage of being able to be like this bridge, let's say, between the driver community and the corporate community. And, it's a tough thing. It's a tough balancing act, but I think I've done a decent job. But now with this next adventure, let's call it, is that I see a lack of it from being around drivers for this long. I see that none of them are prepared for the future that belongs to AVs, the future that belongs to autonomy, the future that belongs to AI. So my thing is, okay, I'm looking out for me, but I'm also going to look out for you as a community. How do I make you get involved? Number one, you have to, first of all, be in charge of your own financial future. That's one.
Mhm.
But with autonomy, with everything else, I want you to be involved. I want you to have skin in the game. I want you to be successful. I want you to think like I do, as opposed to just complain. I'm like, okay, well, we can all complain. We can all complain and do nothing about it, or we can complain and do something about it. So that's the transition that I saw that, it's not about my exit from rideshare and it's not about any of that. Was I've been in private circles, I've been talking about this for a long, long time. I know what the governments, regardless of who's in charge in this country, the history of governments is they are going to debase the currency, they're going to devalue the currency, they're going to keep printing and spending, irregardless of who's in the White House or the Senate. And
Mhm.
the only remedy to that is to invest. If you don't invest in hard assets, I have a good friend of mine, he said something to me a long time ago, and I just never forgot that. He goes, Serge, don't slave harder. Save in hard assets. And look at all these hard assets that we talk about. Stocks. Look at real estate. Look at gold, right? Look at crypto. All these hard assets that are at all-time highs. Why? The reason is there is so much money sloshing around in the system, and we keep doing it more. So, economics is simple. You know what you're talking about when it comes to that. It's supply and demand, right? And not only
Mhm.
that, its supply of dollars is growing every single day. Your dollar buying power is losing value every single day. As a rideshare driver, not only you're battling Uber and Lyft because they're cutting fares and they're playing the games with the algos. We all know what's going on. But now you're battling the inflation genie, which is out of the box and is never going to go back in the box. So I'm going like, okay, what's the proper transition to this? How do I protect the community from Uber and Lyft? Because I can't control what I cannot control. I cannot tell Uber, hey, pay him more. I mean, yeah, I told them a million times, and I'm going to tell them, it's not going to work. So, okay, how do we do this? How do we balance this scale, right? Okay, well, investing is the key because that's what we need to do. Or autonomous vehicles are coming. Okay, how do we get the drivers involved in that game? How do we create fleets? How do we create opportunities for drivers who can be sleeping while earning passive income? So my background in all of this is perfect for me to not only do this for myself while I'm in Spain one day, you know, my fleet on the Uber network is driving 24 hours and making me money, but I want the driver community to get involved, right? And I'm pretty sure out of 4 or 5 million, there are some entrepreneurial, drivers out there like yourself who do understand what this is. And then, I'm not a quitter. One at a time, I go. One at a time, we're going to change the habits of the drivers when it comes to budgeting, when it comes to not getting into debt that's completely unnecessary, when it comes to saving and investing and all these things, because that's how you're going to balance your books. Because if you're expecting Uber to pay you more, that's not going to happen. So, that's it.
As we're hitting the future here and our time is nearly up, you know what I thought about? I know what you've got business-wise set up, and you can talk about that whenever you want. But I was thinking, it's almost like putting together our own little transportation index fund. Would be kind of interesting, right? It's like kind of putting together, obviously Uber, Lyft, Tesla, some of those, but there's some other sleeper companies out there that I'm sure you're aware of, that you and I've been paying attention to, of like, these are the companies that that we can hedge, right? So if we're only going to make $10 on a fare that we used to make $12 on or whatever, we can still take that $1 of, profitability that we get out of it, instead of paying ourselves or paying down a debt, hedging and investing that dollar into some of that index fund and some of these companies and stuff like that. I don't know. You don't have to do that.
I mean, 100%, like 100%, right? Because everybody's involved in the AI race and autonomy race now, and to me, there are companies out there that are working on this. These are not dumb people, folks, okay? These are brilliant people with a lot of the super deep pockets, right? Google is not throwing billions into Waymo because they think it's a loser, okay? So Google would be a perfect example. I bought shares of Google during the Trump tariff tantrum we had in April. I bought it at like $145 a share. Stock is 280 in less than a year, right? Why can't drivers do this? Why can't you? Okay, you can do this you don't have to do this. And people also say like, oh, Serge, you have a lot of money. That's why you can do that. I go, no. You can buy a fractional share of Google. You can buy one share of Google. You can buy a quarter share of Google. You can buy $10 worth of Google on your Robinhood account, That's what I want to, a lot of people are not aware of this, Levi. A lot of people think investing takes a lot of money to do. I'm like, no. It's like dollars. That's it. That's all you have to do. And to me, it's like, that's what I want to do with the community now. I want to kind of pivot them, get him out of the mindset of being taken advantage of, and get him into the mindset of, how do I participate? I want to have success. I want to be like the top 10%. Maybe not. You can't be an Elon. We figured that out. But we can't. I don't think I'll get to 400 billion. For 2025's worth of $75 billion worth of wealth. But what you can
that's the pre new Tesla package you got too, by the way.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, that's another trillion that you just dumped in there. Yeah. But my thing is, that's what my goal is going to be going forward. Like, one at a time, I want to educate you, because financial education is a lifetime. I can teach you about rideshare and have you earn an extra $5 an hour incrementally in your city, what you were not doing before. And if you're driving 40 hours a week, by the way, that's $200 a week. That's $800 a month. That's $10,000 a year. Think about it.
Big money.
It's stupid money. And you're doing the exact same thing, man. You're not doing anything different, right? So take some of that extra found wealth and start investing. And now start compounding and start catching up to the Joneses. And again, it's not about buying a this and buying that, a bigger TV, bigger house, bigger that, bigger this. It's about your financial future. And you and nobody else is in charge of the financial future. But if you don't know, you don't know. And I know a lot of people don't know, or they're intimidated by it, or they're like, well, no, I need a lot of money to start this, or I can hardly put food on the table. Where am I going to find the money? And, as you know, we're friends with Matt. Matt had an amazing idea, and I keep repeating that. Do one single extra trip. That's your investment fund trip. One single trip, $5 trip, $10 trip, $50 trip, whatever it is, that one last one. don't touch that money. Take that, put it in somewhere. Start investing with that. I think it's amazing advice, actually.
Yeah, no doubt. Boy, I have to get Matt on this show. Man, he's so good. Well, hey, Sergio, it looks like we are arriving at our destination here. You're about to get out. Hey, before you get out of the car, please don't forget to leave me 5 stars and a tip in the app.
Tip you. I'm gonna definitely tip you, Levi, for sure. Tip you in the app.
Tip me in the app. Well, do you know how to get out of a Tesla?
Yeah. There's a button here.
Button?
I gotta push. Yeah, the button. I gotta push the button. I almost bought a Tesla
you should have
before the 7,500 credit went away, but then my wife found this deal on another EV, which I thought, as the finance guy that I am, right? So she was like, "There's this car. We have EVs. Well, we have 4 cars now, but 2 are EVs." And she goes, "I'm at Costco. There is this guy from our local Chevy dealer. She goes, you can buy a Chevy Equinox, lease one, for 3 years, which is 300-mile range." And I'm looking on the internet, like, what kind of car it is. It's a beautiful looking car. She goes, including tax, with no money down, is $240 a month. I go, what? It's a $45,000 car. So my finance brain is rolling. I go, put the guy on the phone. So she puts him on the phone. I go, what's the residual on this thing? Oh, it's like $36,000. Oh, I go, that's how we can do it at 240, because you're definitely getting the car back in 3 years. I go, please sign the deal right now. We're going to go pick up the car this afternoon. So, folks, if you understand finance, see, you can find these kind of deals, right?
Yeah, but then you have to drive a Chevy Equinox, not a Tesla.
I'm telling you, I've driven it. I know that's not a Model Y. We can't compete with Model Y. But, Levi, it's a solid car. Let me tell you, in LA today, I can't go with my wife to sushi for $240 a month, okay? That's how expensive life is in LA. So I'm going for me, transportation, A to B, full, and I have the charging taken care of at home. I go, send it. How many can we buy of these things? But no, yeah.
Well, it's always good. And Sergio, I wish, what do you think of this format before we close it all out? You think
I like
this is
it. I watched yours with Tristan, yeah. And initially I was like, that's kind of intriguing. And then you get drawn into it, right? And then you go like, what is he going to say next? And what's going to happen next? And this and that. And you have a beautiful noggin, by the way. So pretty symmetrical, You don't have an odd-shaped head. So it's okay. No, I like it. I like the conversation in the backseat. And I'm sure we missed a lot. So... you guys can reach me obviously at the Rideshare Guy, and or my new finance channel, obviously, and the website. I like the format. I think, and you're a good driver. No, Tesla's a good driver.
Tesla's a good driver. I just sat here the whole time. All right, well, that's it. For everybody else, thank you so much for watching. Be well. I'm cheering for you. Bye.
Tip you in the app.